Hey Clevin, this is my first video on YouTube, so I hope you can forgive me the creepy audio, my sometimes poor mastery of English, and the fucked up graphics I added to the video. Uh, my grandfather was a good man. I loved him, and I am sure that he loved me, and he was really, I enjoyed every minute I could spend with him until he died. Uh, there was another side of my grandfather. He had volunteered for the German army in 1939. He served in uh, the ground troops of the Air Force. He was deployed in France at the defense of as industrial targets against Allied bombers, and finally in the Soviet Union, where my country 60 years ago, I think you know, waged a genocidal war against the Russians. And for sure, my grandfather, he was a good guy from my fucking perspective. Um, from the perspective of a Jew living in Poland, or from the perspective of a Frenchman in occupied France, or from the perspective of a Russian peasant in occupied Russia. He was not. And I can be quite sure that if his generation in World War II was not stopped by realizing their fascist project under Hitler, um, he would have committed most of all atrocities thinkable by human beings, and I think he killed people, and I am quite sure that he knew about the Holocaust, and I am quite sure that he would um, have did his share in exterminating what the German government in these days considered as the racial inferior peoples like Jews, Poles, Russians, whatever. And the point is, um, it's it's not sufficient to be a nice guy. It's not sufficient to be a warm and loving person under certain circumstances. Um, that's not enough. Your conclusion falls short. There are people with different ideologies and methods of thinkings on this planet, and some are better, and some are not that good, and some are purely evil. And I don't know if you've ever been to a Muslim country, or if you have ever seen Afghanistan with your own eyes, but I would really suggest to you to rethink your thesis, because alright, the average Taliban is a nice guy, um, but his ideology and his way of living and his cultural upbringing tells him that it's okay to beat up your wife, to slaughter apostates, to bomb girls' schools, and to force women to wear the burqa, and a lot of atrocious things that I think the list is long. I could continue here for maybe an hour, and it's not it's not enough to be good, to be a nice person within your normal social environment. It's not enough, and I think we are better than them, and I haven't come to this conclusion because of racism or because I don't know the Muslim world or I don't know other cultures. I know them very well, and that's the point. You are speaking in a quite naive way, and you are wearing pink glasses, and I suggest to you to try to rethink your conclusions and um, think about it again, really, because it's you. The world is a more comfortable place if you think that, yeah, there's no difference between us and others, and everybody has some goodness in his heart, but that's not the point. It definitely is not. Even Hitler or Stalin had some good sides, but um, that doesn't excuse them of anything. And the average Taliban, maybe he's a nice guy if you come to his house and he invites you for a fucking cup of tea and whatever, but that's not the point. It is not enough to be just a nice person under certain social circumstances. There is more needed, and I fear that's what you don't get. So, I advise you to rethink your conclusions. So, take care.